During this session, we will cover the complete order-to-cash cycle. To begin, we'll enter a sales order. Then we'll run MRP to generate planned orders. We'll firm the planned orders and receive purchase and transfer orders. We'll also firm the planned production orders, release and start a production order, and also track the outside process against this production order. We'll enter time for the jobs, and when the production order is complete, we'll ship the sales order, invoice the sales order, and then receive payment. So let's begin. Let's first go into our sales orders and create a new one. We'll select our customer, enter a purchase order that our customer may have provided us. Now, even though we're entering this sales order manually, let's remember sales orders can be generated a number of ways in AX 2009. Can come in via EDI. We may have remote salespeople who access our enterprise portal and enter it over the web, or we may give our customers access to our enterprise portal to enter their own orders. But in this case, we'll enter it manually. And I'll select an item. Remember, I can always use the type in part of the item number and get to a range to where I can select the proper number. Or I can search by item description also. Let's enter the quantity for this item. We'll say our customer has requested 20 of these. Now, just so we can talk about what the production requirements are for this item and purchase requirements, I'm going to press the Inquiry Explosion button, and this will drill down into the actual item requirements. This screen allows me to actually drill into the part and see what components are available to build this. So I'm going to expand this tree structure. Let's talk about this for a moment. Now, you may have noticed, let me get this screen out of the way just for a moment. You'll notice that when I enter this part number, it's assuming it's going to be built or available in site number 2 or plant number 2, and it's going to be sold out of warehouse 22. Keeping that in mind, as we look at the exploded bill of material for this part, we'll see that one of the parts needs to come from site or plant number 3. So in plant number 3, it's going to create a production order to manufacture part number R237730-L. Now, once that component part is built, then it needs to transfer it to our plant number 2, which is the plant location where we're selling it. We'll also notice part of this production process will require the purchase of this item AA11GO. It will also require an outside process where we need to send this part out for galvanizing. And then those steps to complete the final production in our plant number 2, in which then we sell it out of warehouse 22. Okay, now that we have a sales order and we've discussed the process that's going to take place, let's assume on a nightly basis we run master planning or MRP. And this process can kick off automatically, but here we're going to actually do it manually. So I'm going to click Master Scheduling and tell it to begin the process. Okay, our master planning process has completed. Let's take a look at the results. Okay, we can see that the master planning process generated many different planned orders. We can notice by the icon the different types of orders that have been generated, such as planned purchase orders, planned production orders. We'll see we also have transfer orders. Now we can filter the planned orders by our different sites. So I'm going to go to site or plant 3 and look at the requirements there. And we can see that we do have a requirement based on our sales order to build item R23770-L in plant number 3, quantity 20, and the due date. Let's now go to our plant number 2 and look at the requirements there. Likewise, we see we have a transfer order that once R23770-L has been built over in plant number 3, we're going to move it out of plant 3's warehouse 34 to plant number 2, warehouse 22. We'll also see our final production order to make the quantity 20 in plant number 2. As we scroll on down the list, we'll also notice our raw material component item AA11G has a requirement of 7.4 that we will need to order from our supplier. Assuming I'm the purchasing manager, I'm going to log into AX 2009 the next morning after MRP ran. Now you'll notice on my Role Center page, I can see my planned orders that I need to respond to. So I'm going to click on the planned order list. And again, if I'm in a particular plant, I may want to only see those that relate to my activities. So I'm going to be in plant number 2 and look at my different items I need to react to. Now here's our planned order for item AA11G to fulfill the requirements for the sales order we entered. As a purchasing manager, I confirm any of these planned orders recommended by MRP and automatically turn them into purchase orders. So let's firm up our AA11G item. So I'm going to simply press the firm button, and a purchase order is automatically created for me. Now also, since I am responsible for all materials within plant number 2, I'll probably also want to firm up the recommended transfer order. So I'm going to go ahead and also firm up the transfer of item R23770-L. Once it's manufactured in our plant 3, move it from warehouse 34 to our warehouse 22 in plant 2. So likewise, I will go ahead and firm that process or that transfer order up also. Now let's return to our purchasing manager role page and look at the purchase order that was generated. Here we go. We see it here at the very bottom, purchase order 482. It automatically created the PO to our default vendor that was set up on the plan order. I could have very easily have changed the vendor at that point, but I accepted the default vendor. Now at the end of the day, we'll probably want to print all the purchase orders we generated during the daily process. So I'm going to select my print purchase order link and go in and select all the POs that have been created for the day in my current plant. And we'll notice it's just the one I selected. Now if I had multiple POs, during this purchase order print process, AX 2009 goes out and looks at each vendor to determine how the purchase order is transmitted to our suppliers. For Wind Metals, I've set it up to where the purchase order is emailed to them. If the next PO in line said we are to mail the PO, it would have printed it to a designated printer. Another purchase order could have been set up to where that supplier requests POs to be faxed. So using our fax printer on our server, it would have been faxed the PO to that supplier. So let's go ahead and say OK and produce the purchase order. Okay, let's go